Okay, hello everyone. Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there who is surviving it. Whether you are calling your mom, whether you are avoiding your mom, being celebrated as a mom, or even possibly holding grief, we see you. Today's episode is all about the mother wounds, motherhood myths, and how we are all just out here trying to reparent ourselves with a Pinterest board and possibly even a therapist. So my name is Courtney. I am a licensed mental health therapist, co-owner of Strong Mind Mental Health, private practice, and with me today is my co-host. Who are you?
Who am I? Hi, it's me, Melisa. Welcome to Collectively Unhinged, or I guess welcome back to Collectively Unhinged. And this isn't meant to put anybody down or bash any moms at all. We're just here to talk about like some real stuff. Because honestly, I mean, I feel like everybody has there's not true. Some people have a fantastic relationship with their mom, but sometimes it can be kind of tough. So we're here to talk about it all.
Exactly. That's exactly what this is, right? Not to bash anybody. This is just to like speak our truth, and hopefully somebody out there can also relate in some type of way or has even their own stories that they want to be able to share with us. But in light of this Mother's Day holiday season, which really, I mean, truthfully should be year round, we thought that this would be a great idea to have an episode kind of cater to that, because again, as I'm always saying, we are all collectively unhinged together. So let's go ahead and get into our first segment here, the mother wound, right? If you've ever felt like you either had to be perfect or, couldn't take up that space or became your mom's emotional support animal, I mean, congratulations, you may actually be eligible for therapy, right? But I mean, this is what we're over here to talk about. Melisa, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. I think that it can get our relationships with our parents, our moms, even like other family members can get can be so complex. So it's just kind of like getting into it, whether like your mom is your absolute favorite person in the whole wide world and you can talk to her about everything, or whether you call your mom and it makes your skin crawl. It's it's just to talk about that. But I guess since it's the two of us, it would be more so talking about like our experiences with our moms, but also our experiences as moms, and maybe even talking about like what we've seen in our friends, or even even with like other people in our lives. Doesn't necessarily have to be a friend. I think sometimes like we see certain interactions between like people that we care about and their parents, and sometimes keep our opinions to ourselves, but I guess we can talk about it in the podcast if it comes up.
So, I mean, I don't know for you, if you feel like you can relate to this or not, Melisa, but if you've ever felt like, again, like I said earlier, like if you had to be perfect, my relationship with my mom, I'm very close to her. I always looked up to her. I wanted to embody her in a lot of different ways. We don't necessarily like have the same things in common, but I thought that she was an amazing mother. Perfect, I guess, in a lot of ways as a kid growing up. But I also felt like then as I was growing up, I not that she ever made me feel this way, but I also felt like I had to in some ways be perfect as well. I didn't want to disappoint her in a lot of ways, and especially when I became a mom myself. For anyone who doesn't know, I am a mother of 4 beautiful, lovely children half of the time. I say half the time because the other times they're not beautiful and lovely. But when I became a mother myself, I really felt like I had to be perfect in my own ways, so that whenever she came over, like the house was perfect. I was letting her know of like everything, great that I was doing with the kids. So like she had that impression. Again, it's not like anything that she actually put on me. It's just how I felt like I had to be with her.
Yeah, I had the opposite I don't know. Hopefully my mom never listens to this podcast. My mom, I don't know. She was great at a lot of things. I think she always showed that she like really cared. And I don't know, there was never any abuse or anything like that, but she's just a very intense lady. She tends to be very controlling. She tends to be like if it's not the way she would do it, then it is absolutely wrong. And I haven't been a mom for that long. My older child is only 2.5, but I'm definitely taking that with me. Like I'm taking some of the good that my mom had, but I want to be like the least controlling parent ever. Of course, like within the lines of like there still has to be discipline, right? Hopefully he's not going to be a savage animal, but I want to be very much the mom that's like, make your own decisions. You want to wear two different shoes today? Okay, that's cool. Be creative. So I feel like I've definitely taken that and gone like the exact opposite, where my mom was very much like, if you're a lady, you have to wear this dress and don't go get dirty. And then I would end up like in the playground with like my underwear hanging off as like a little kid, and her being like, why don't you like wearing dresses? And I'm literally gonna be like, to my son and to my daughter, I'm be like, you want to eat dirt, you eat dirt, you go for it. And he does sometimes eat dirt. Do I try to get him to stop?
Same.
Yeah, I don't want to stress the small stuff. I want to be more of like when discipline is needed, it's needed, but I just want them to have like, I don't know, that independence and freedom and creativity, and not be put down for just like being themselves.
Yeah, I feel like we see that a lot in terms of how we grew up. We either in certain ways tend to embody these roles that we grew up seeing, whether we want to or not, or we end up doing the exact opposite of it, right? And like completely try to get away from that and want to be completely different from those role models in a sense growing up. And I say role models because it's true, right? Like we grew up with these people role modeling their behavior to us, and these are like our first insights into what maybe anger looks like, what happiness looks like, what how we react to certain situations, what relationships look like, right? So it does have an impact on us whether we see that or not. It develops sometimes depending on what those relationships do look like with our mothers. It can develop more in the maybe not the healthiest aspect of this people pleasing mentality, this anxious attachment and mentality, maybe sometimes never feeling good enough. It can have an impact on us. What do you think, Melissa? Has it impacted your relationships today in any way?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've had to do a lot of work on myself for sure. I think the anxious attachment style for sure, and also feeling like I'm not good enough has been like a theme. Because to be honest, again, my mom was great at a lot of things, but she was also really fantastic at making you feel like you're just not good enough. So, I don't know, growing up, every decision I made was wrong. Everything I cleaned was horrible. The way even if I asked to like rearrange the furniture in my room, I was told that's hideous and I'm not going to touch anything. And my room had to be exactly the way that she wanted it to be. I remember being 14 and like wanting to I like swam competitively, and I was like, man, I hate swimming. I would love to do another sport. And she like dragged me out by my hair and like made me keep swimming. And it was like, all your decisions are wrong. So like, yeah, I don't know how that doesn't like affect you as an adult a little bit when you're told your whole life that like everything you're doing is wrong. She like to this day, which I think is like, I hear that a lot with my clients, right? They try to talk to their parents about like things that happened when they were little, and their parents are like, that didn't happen, or they use very normal, I don't want to say normal, shouldn't be normal, but it is when your parents aren't I'm spacing on emotionally mature parents, right? Emotionally intelligent parents. It's very much the go-to of, I'm the worst parent in the world then, and I did horrible. Then you're like, no, girl, I just want you to acknowledge what you did wasn't cool. Like, let's just talk about it so we can be okay. But I have tried to talk to her about those things, and her go-to very much is, oh, I guess I was just the worst. I can't win with you, Melisa. And I'm like, okay, well, good talk, mom. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, it's not impossible to not work through those things, right? I had to do a lot of like, I don't know, for me, what worked is like definitely talking about it, but like journaling, processing, like trying to figure out where my anxiety comes from. Because even to this day, when I get anxious, I can very much point to like thinking worst case scenario, not just because of my mom, because honestly, my entire family. Like, and when you hear it, it's like exhausting to be, I don't know, they very much like something goes wrong and it's like, oh, that's horrible and everything sucks and the world sucks and everything. And it's like, dude, just, oh my God, breathe. Like, it's just one little setback. Like, we'll be okay. Like, look at all these other things that are going in our favor. But that is very much all that I heard growing up. So I've had to do a lot of work to just be like a semi neutral, kind of positive person at times. I don't know if you've had that experience with your family or if it's totally different.
No, I mean, yeah, I think I mean, no family is ever going to be 100% perfect. So yeah, we are going to have those experiences. And I think when we don't take those opportunities to try and process that, or to really reflect on where our head is at, like, then we start to embody that sometimes, like there are times in my sessions where I'm doing some trauma reprocessing work and my client is having certain thoughts and I'm like, are those your thoughts or are those your mother's thoughts that is that your mother speaking to you right now? Because we tend to take on, that role of what was instilled in us for so long, and we just like carry that through. Not always, like Melisa said, she had to do a lot of work in terms of working through that. But when we don't, then we do take up that mantle sometimes of those criticisms or whatever that maybe we have heard do carry on,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that we all have to work on, which is why one of the questions I ask my clients, when they have like these thoughts come up, I'm always like, do you know when that started? Like, do you know where that came from? Like, is that your voice or is that somebody else's voice? Because a lot of times as kids, right, and I hear people say this all the time, they're like, oh my God, this is so silly, like this came from middle school. And I'm like, no, it's actually not silly. Like, somebody said something to you along the way, really impacted you, and that's stuck with you. So now you're not hearing your voice, you're hearing the voice of that person that like really like had an impact on your life. But I don't care if it's elementary school, like I don't care if you were 5, we got to talk about it. So yeah, I mean, your mom, parents, anybody that you see on a daily basis, like if they say something to you enough, it's gonna stick. And we have to like, we all have work to do on ourselves. And that's not to say that like our parents did it on purpose. There's no playbook for how to be a parent. But it was done, right? So we still gotta like process some of those things and really work on figuring out, one, where they're coming from, and two, how to like start to shift them little by little.
So then maybe let's talk about that, right? Let's move on to our second segment, unhinged confessions. So this is like us putting our business out there, or if we don't have any business to put out there, then maybe like some things that we have heard or whatnot. But Melisa, I'm gonna just go ahead and put it full blast on you.
Oh, great!
What are some of like either the weirdest, wildest, most chaotic or unhingedness, if that's not even a word, but so things that maybe like your mother ever did growing up?
I can think of one memory, and she denies this, but like it happened with my best friend in the room, and we both laugh about it. And to this day, every time I see it, my best friend has lived in Gainesville now for like 11 years, and she's like, finally she's moving back to West Palm. I'm in the Miami area and I'm moving to Orlando, and she's like, you're like, I hate you, why are you moving north when I'm moving south? But we talk about this all the time, and it's horrifying. And my mom's like, I never did that. I'm like, your crazy ass did that. And I think the right word is unhingedness. We're making that up. So as I mentioned, my mom was very controlling. And I used to have friends over the house all the time, very like typical teenager, like people in and out. I can't even remember why this time specifically she was so upset. I think somebody had been over the house maybe for like 3 hours or something, and like they had just left because my mom like lost her absolute mind on them because very controlling. She doesn't want people over, so she's like, you gotta go. And they had left, and so me and my best friend are laying in my bed just like talking whatever. We were like 16, 17 at this point, and my mom walks into my room just off the rails angry for absolutely no reason. That was her go-to. I can understand now as an adult. I'm like, bro, she was handling everything. So I get that maybe I would be a little crazy too if I was like living her life. But she walked in a robe and she was like, I don't want people over at my house. And we were like, we're typical teenage, like, I guess we're going to curse on this podcast, like typical teenage assholes. Like we're like looking at each other like Rose Lady's crazy. And we're just like laughing. Like they were here for like a few hours. It's okay. She unrobes herself.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't want people over because if I want to walk around naked, I'll walk around naked. And started shaking her like boobs, like no bra on, just full shaking, angry. And me and my best friend were like, what the fuck is going on? And she just walked out mad. And we remember that to this day so clearly. Like I said, we talk about it every time we see each other and laugh. And we like brought it up to her and she's like, you're such a liar, that never happened. I'm like, you can't gaslight me this time, Mom. There was a witness. But that is the craziest thing my mom has done, which has been not only flash my friend, but aggressively shake her tits while yelling in front of my friend, no underwear on. So I think I turned out okay. All right, your turn to answer, Courtney. What is the most unhinged thing?
Okay, like I've literally been racking my brain about this, and I swear to God, I am not lying when I say that I really don't have one.
No, absolutely not.
I swear. No. Okay, so like, look, okay. Let me give some context to this. Okay, so my father is freaking a maniac. Okay, he is insane. And I think I could tell you stories for days about my father. But the thing is, I think because my father is so unhinged that my mom has like purposely like toned it down to balance it out. Because to be like, and the thing is, my mom, I always say like, and she tells me like she was like a hippie growing up. Like she grew up kind of like a little bit after Woodstock times or whatever. That was more like her older sister, but like she still grew up in that era, in that vibe. She was very much all about like peace, love, weed, things of that nature. So she always brought that into the family, like very much like open arms, fully accepting of anyone, also with the safety in mind of like her children or whatever. But she was just always very accepting. So like there was never really anything that was ever like insane or crazy about the things that she did. Like I swear, like when I rack my brain, the only thing that comes to mind, which is literally not anything, but the only thing that my mom did with me that she never really did before was like take shots, like tequila shots with me when I turned 21. Like literally, I tell you, that's the only thing I can think of in terms of it. And I know that's sad to say because I swear if you guys could see Melissa's face right now. But I swear, like, I truly do think it's because she tried to balance out my father a lot with how insane he is. Like, I could tell you stories like my dad and I almost gotten arrested together. Like, there was so many things with my dad that I could write probably a whole book on how he is. And I truly do think that that's why, like, I never really experienced so much of that with my mom, because she really tried to balance that out. That's just like my opinion.
No, we're gonna have to do a Father's Day one then, because
we're totally gonna do a Father's Day.
I want to hear stories about your dad. I know your dad's a little crazy. Okay, fine. Your mom, you actually had a normal mom. Like the worst thing was like, let's do shots for your 21st birthday when it's legal. Like it's not even like that mom that has all the 14-year-olds in her backyard and she's like, let's get drunk and get high. Like not even that. She's like, no, wait till you're 21, sweetie.
No. I mean, granted, and like I said, it's like every family has their things. Like I mentioned this in like I think our first episode. Like I come from big families, right? So like my mom, she was one of five, right? And maybe like for some people that doesn't seem big either, but I'm just saying like, so she was one of five. She had a big family. I have lots of cousins, you know, things like that, but that her family had a lot of drama too, you know? So I think again, with my mom, the way that she was, I think she tried a lot to like balance that out, because there was like always drama and things like that. Like I've heard so many stories growing up about like, you know, my aunts and uncle and whatnot. So it's like, I know that in some respect, I think she tried to be as normal as possible in a lot of ways because of that, you know?
Yeah, I feel like she had to. If not, you would probably be a very different person with everything.
I probably would. I swear to God, I sometimes wonder, like, if it was just my father raising me, what that would honestly look like nowadays. Because I'm telling you, like, this man is just ridiculous. I love him to death. They're still together, and she, like, I don't know how she puts up with like half of the crap that he does, but it's like, I think that's really what it is, like the yin and yang, and like just her trying to be like that calm in the storm.
So, who are you more like as a parent? Are you more like your mom or more like your dad?
Like my dad, 1,000%. And I tell my husband, I'm like, look, you know what you got into, but I still feel bad for you sometimes. Because yes, I am like my dad 1,000%. I have my mom's calmness. Like I do very well under pressure, under stress. Like I remain calm. I try to remain neutral, but trust me, like my craziness is straight from my father, 1,000%.
What's really your most unhinged mom moment?
Oh my God. Okay. Well, okay. So I've been a mother for 9 years now. No, it'll be 9 years next month. It'll be 9 years that I've been a mother. But I don't really feel like I've had so much of an unhinged mom moment. I almost fought a guy once. Probably that was the only thing. And that's because like, but that wasn't so much about me, like in my kids. It was more so about like how he was with his daughter. And yeah, I mean, not to go into like so many details, but like let's just say like it was borderline. I was about to call the police on him for how he was acting, and I literally almost fought that dude. And Jorge had to hold me. My husband had to hold me back and everything. Like, no, don't do that. You don't want to get arrested. But yeah, that was probably like, and that only happened once. But no, I mean, I wouldn't really say like there's ever been any sort of like crazy thing that my kids up until this point have seen. But then again, I'm still kind of young. I feel like as I get older, I'm gonna become more and more like my father, and then they're really gonna see it. But it just hasn't happened
yet. That's hilarious. Okay, well, I'm glad you didn't get arrested. I feel like that's good news. Okay.
Yeah, my husband's more the calm in the storm, you know, so like you can see a little bit of that dynamic there. Yeah, he's definitely the more calm one of the two.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying is that there might still be time for you to get arrested.
Oh yeah, like for sure. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna happen at one point. Like I mentioned previously before, like I almost got arrested with my dad. I've been arrested before, like when I was younger, like as a teenager. Not as an adult, you know, like I'm free and clear of that. I was stupid as a teenager, but no, it has not happened. I imagine it'll probably happen when I'm like 80 years old or something.
You know, if you're gonna get arrested, I feel like your 80s is definitely the time, right? Like it's the end of your life. You get free health care in prison, and like, you know, you lived out your dream, and maybe just like cross that last thing off your bucket list. Like, what illegal activity did you not do? Totally different topic. Nothing to do with being a mom, or everything to do with being a mom. I don't know. Maybe being a mom has made you want to commit some crimes, like beat somebody up.
What about you? Have there been any unhinged moments for you as a mother? Do you think?
Not like wanting to fight somebody because of kids or anything like that. I don't know. I feel like I've like really mellowed out. I used to be a lot angrier in my 20s, and now that I'm like, I don't know if it was like turning 30 and being like, oh, this could possibly be my midlife now. I've just been like more relaxed. Or if it's just the fact that I'm running 70 miles a week and I'm too tired to be angry, I don't know. But one story that comes to mind, which is like pretty funny. my son is a troll and like laughs at everything, even though he's like literally only 2. So I was like, Nick, my husband was changing my daughter, and I was in the kitchen emptying the dishwasher, and Tommy's like taking things out of the dishwasher as I'm like washing stuff, and so I turn around, I'm like, Thomas, don't do that, and he goes ah, and keeps taking things out. So he takes out glass, which I then turn around to try to like chase him because that's who he is. I stub my toe on the dishwasher door. I'm like, like in pain. And he goes, and laughs at me. And so I look at him and with a straight face, I did not yell, but I was just, it's this tiny little person. I was like, fuck you, Thomas. And my husband hears and comes out and he's like, that's great, gentle parenting, honey, and hands me the baby. I'm like, I'm doing great. So that's like normally, that's normally what my day looks like. Follow me for gentle parenting tips.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, luckily he still has no idea what that means. I will have to cut that out once he's a little older.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Okay, well then, I mean, I think in a lot of ways that brings us to our next segment in regards to reparenting and milestones. Jesus, I could not say that. Reparenting and milestones. So let's shift gears towards that because, again, healing doesn't always mean fixing the relationship with your mom. Sometimes it means becoming, the parent that you needed. So Melisa, what does reparenting mean to you?
I don't know. I mean, if you're describing it like becoming the parent that you needed, that could go a lot of different ways. That could go into like even like parts therapy, like talking to like the little version of you, how you would want mom to answer, which is actually very healing. Even talking to yourself the way that you would have wanted mom to be when you were little right now as an adult, because sometimes we need that, right? Like a lot of people, I'm actually kind of jealous of this when a lot of people are like, oh, I just need my mom. I'm like, bro, I've never thought that. Like the last person in the world that I need is my mother. Like if I want to be more mad, I will call my mother in this situation. So I would want that, right? I would want somebody to like talk to me the way that I need. But also you can interpret that as like, what type of parent do you want to be to your kids, right? Like not being that person, which is what we talked about a little bit, right? Like the way that I want to be with my kids. Like my mom was always very like, if I said I wanted to cut my hair a certain way, she'd be like, that's going to look disgusting. That's going to look ugly. Like I literally want my daughter to be like, Mom, I want my hair to be purple because it's my favorite color. And I want to be like, you know what? That's gonna look beautiful. You're beautiful. Like that's like that. Those are the responses that I would have wanted, and like that's the approach that I would want to have. Even as far as me getting my first tattoo and her being like, "You're going to hell," like, oh no, I'm gonna burn. Like, like I don't know. I just a lot of things, right? So I don't know if I'm interpreting that correctly, but that I feel like it could mean any one of those things for people.
Yeah, and I've also, I've been talking about this a little bit throughout these segments and whatnot, and in a lot of ways, it's partly about how we grew up, these ideas that get instilled into our mind, like I was saying before, of, is it you talking or is it your mom talking? Is it your parent talking, right? These ideas, these criticisms, these thoughts, these things that we hear growing up, what we see from these role models growing up, and then how we can sometimes learn to embody those, whether we want to or not. And also having these sometimes unmet needs or inconsistent needs, whether it's affection, attention, other things that then kind of form into anxious attachments and low self-esteem, all those other things that come up, especially when we become parents ourselves. So then the idea of reparenting is exactly that, right? Like learning how to not only address those things that have come up for us in childhood, but then often again, like, so to understand that, but then to also learn and know how to then reparent ourselves moving forward, like how to meet those needs ourselves and how to do things different. So we are learning to, in a lot of ways, responding to ourselves better, supporting ourselves better in that, in the here and now, So then with that, let me ask you then, Melissa, what's like one thing that you now give yourself that maybe like, for one reason or another, like your mom just couldn't?
I think, which is the thing I've had to work on the most, the thing that I give myself that my mom couldn't, is reminding myself that my decisions, one, aren't always going to be wrong, but two, aren't final. So what I mean by that is my mom always gave me a lot of anxiety in making decisions because she, one, always made me feel like they were wrong. And two, always going to be like this catastrophic thing that you can't come back from. And so for me, even like these big things where people feel like, oh my God, a job, moving, like all these things, I'm always like, don't stress it. Like, you're trying this out, you're taking it one day at a time. This is what you feel is best right now. And if it is what's best and it works out, that's wonderful. But if it's not, that's okay. Like, they aren't final. You can always then change and make different decisions and like figure out what is going to work. So I think then really what that is just like more positive self-talk and not catastrophizing things. But I think that that's like the main thing that I give myself that my mom couldn't. I want to ask you the same question, but I feel like you're gonna be like, my mom gave me everything.
No. Well, yes and no. So okay, I know, like, I love my mom. She is not was now. She is an amazing she is an amazing woman, and I still inspire to be like her every day, right? But no person is ever perfect, right? Like, even a great and amazing mom is not going to be a perfect mom. And I will say that I think so. I say that I have a big family. I am one of really five, but now four siblings, and there was a huge gap in the age from my, I guess, second to youngest brother. Am I saying that correctly? Into me. So I am the youngest. I should really just say I'm the youngest, and like there's a gap of 11 years with the one that's closest in age to me. And so because of that, I also kind of grew up a little bit as an only child, not completely. My brothers and sisters were very much around. I'm sorry, I'm one of five. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. I was one of six, but now I'm one of five. And so my brothers and sisters were still around me, but still, like, I feel like I had very much like an only child mentality sometimes. And so because of that, I think I was also raised in some ways like that, especially with my mom, because I am actually my mother's only child. The rest of my siblings all come from my father. And so I was my mother's only child. I don't know. She would never tell me if, that made any sort of difference in terms of her parenting. Of course, she would never say that. But I do feel like in some ways I was spoiled, a lot. And I feel like my mother did give in to me a lot sometimes. Because, I wasn't the perfect child growing up. Like, I think I mentioned before, like, I was arrested as a teenager. I wasn't the most well-behaved. And I did grow out of that, but I was not the most well-behaved growing up. And I do feel like, although my mother did discipline me, she did not really, like, take that far. And I think also, like, I guess to give some disclosure too, I remember one time distinctly, I was hit with a belt by my mom when I was probably 6 years old, 7 years old, hit with a belt, which, mind you say that nowadays and you're calling DCF right now, right? But that wasn't the case, early on. And I remember it's because, like, I was playing with a friend. I accidentally, made her bleed. I got in trouble for that. Her parents were very pissed off. I got hit with a belt as a result of that. And it left a mark. I remember because I never acted out like that before. So this is the first time doing that. I was bawling tears. My mom was bawling tears. having to punish me that way. And I think that experience was probably so traumatic for her that like she never disciplined me that way again. And I feel like it did take a lot in terms of like her easing up on me. And so she gave in a lot to me as a kid. So I feel like that's kind of one thing. So I say all that because I feel like that's kind of one thing now. I give myself more. Like I practice a lot more discipline because I noticed I didn't really have a lot of that. Especially when I was training for like this marathon, this half marathon and all this other stuff. I didn't have a lot of discipline when it came to that. I was very inconsistent in a lot of ways. Like I gave into my needs. Like if I didn't want to run or whatever it is. But again, I noticed that, and I noticed upon reflecting on it where that came from. So that was kind of one thing I really had to work on. I'm not perfect at it by any means, but I worked a lot on it so I can start getting more so there. So yeah, that was a lot of word vomit, I feel like, but I mean that was my truth.
No, I don't feel like it was very interesting the entire way. I'm here for it. And also it made me realize maybe that's why I'm out there at 4 a.m. running from my demons. I feel like, you know, your mom didn't give you the discipline to well, I don't want to say that because you did run a half marathon and now you're gonna run a whole marathon. So like she gave you enough discipline, obviously, but maybe my mom gave me too much, and now I have so many issues. I'm like out in the dark eating bugs, just running for hours. So
no, like you don't understand. Like that whole belt thing was like so traumatic. I still remember it. Like I remember that to this day in detail, how that whole situation played out when we used to live out in North Bay Village on 79th Street on our old apartment. Her pulling me over her knee and hitting me with that belt. Her crying afterwards, me crying. And then I even remember that she even went out and got me like a Barney book bag as kind of like an apology to give to me because of how bad she felt about that. But granted, like I never pulled that crap again. This is not me like saying like you should go out and do that by any means, but like it was a traumatic experience. I'm not gonna lie. I still acted out afterwards. Like mind you, I still acted out. Like I said, I was probably like 6 when that happened, and you know, like I had other things I did, especially as a teenager. But like I'm just saying that was probably, I think from then on, like I had like a lot less discipline from her as a result.
Honestly, you and I had such different childhoods. I got hit so much. I do not. You're like, this is where I lived. This was the time. This was the date. This is what I was wearing. I'm like, I remember bro, that. I would get hit on a random like Tuesday, like flying chancletas. My grandma would like throw pans at me, man. I would have been removed from that house. It was one day I was just sitting at the table. My grandma came up behind me and hit me with like those, you know, back in the day when we had like the regular just house phones, that like those huge things. She smacked me in the back of the head with it. Like I was beat. I was beat. I do have one memory of running away from my mom literally for 30 minutes and she couldn't catch me. And finally, my dad just started laughing. And so she gave up and they started laughing together. And I was like, I escaped a beating. But like, my mom was very much the like, I'm taking a shower. I think I got away with it peacefully. And she like opens a curtain and just starts like attacking me while I'm like wet and naked. So yeah, we had different childhoods, man.
You know, I did have one time where I tried to run away. I think I was probably closer around the same age, like 6 or 7. I remember having like my sparkly luggage, rolling luggage, I have no idea what in there. My parents and I think my older brother were like sitting down eating dinner. I was like, I'm leaving. And then my mom just looks at me like super nonchalant. She's like, okay, go. And then I'm looking at her like, what? Like, what do you mean? Just go. And then she's like, okay, bye. My dad doesn't say anything. My brother doesn't say anything. Super silent. And I'm just like standing there. And I remember this. Like I'm just standing there waiting for them to do something. Nothing. So I walk out the door. I'm waiting. Nothing. I'm walking down the stairs because I think we were like on the 3rd floor. Walking down the stairs. Nothing. And I'm just waiting. And then my mom told me like later on that like she was looking out the window to see if she could see me, but nobody ever came for me. And I just remember like waiting and nothing. And then I took my ass back upstairs, put my stuff down, and went to go eat dinner. And like that was it. But like that was then her style moving forward, right? Like she was like that cool, calm, collected, whatever. Like it wasn't, she didn't say anything. She let it go. She didn't say a single thing to me about it. She just like gave me dinner, and then that's it. Like, we didn't talk about it unless I wanted to talk about it because I was mad for whatever reason. But that became her style after that. You know?
Great. I feel like that's a kid thing. I remember this one time I did the same thing. I don't know where the logic was, but I decided that I was just gonna pack a bag with like hats, and I just packed like why? Like I promise you, like just 30 hats just in case like the sun would get me. I don't know. My mom said the same thing. She's like, bye. And I did walk a good while.
I did not get far. I did not get far.
You were like, man, I'm gonna go upstairs and have dinner. I'm hungry.
Oh my god, I swear the memories.
No, it's ridiculous. Okay.
So then how would you say, okay, looking at, your past, how in a way it shaped you. But so now, how do you celebrate yourself now? Do you think?
How do I celebrate myself? You mean like how do I show myself that I'm like proud of my accomplishments? Like maybe I don't know. Like is it like a daily basis where I'm
okay?
Like
let me rephrase that. How do you celebrate yourself now as a mother?
Well, I like massages, but I don't know. On a daily basis, right? Massages are expensive. You can't get a massage every day as much as one would like, but on a daily basis, I do make it a point to just, and I guess this happens while I'm running because obviously you're running and like you're just out there with your thoughts. So I think about like the type of mom I want to be on that day, and I try to set daily goals, whether they're like even like food goals, but like they're very very much centered around like being a mom and how I want to respond. So sometimes my goals are just as simple as like don't yell at the kids today, even if you're like super frustrated. Your goal is to like walk away and not say anything. So at the end of the day, if I do accomplish that, it really is just like a more of like an affirmation thing for me. I'm like, all right, you did great. Like you were patient, you were understanding, like you gave options. And then I just take a second to be like, all right, like these are the days that matter. Like this is like the difference between being like, at least in my eyes, right, like a good mom and a great mom. Like making sure that your kids don't feel like scared to make a mistake, or like I don't know, even your initial reaction, because it is a trauma reaction. So like your kid grabbing like a cup of juice and like throwing it everywhere, right, where you want to like yell. I remember this one time Tommy grabbed, I don't even remember what red substance it was, and threw it all over the white walls. And like my immediate reaction was I wanted to yell, and I was like, I can't yell at him for that. Like he's two. Like that's how you like start like trauma responses. So even on like situations like that, like I just make sure to give myself credit on those really tough days, and to remind myself that like myself, like I'm proud of what I'm doing even when it's tough. And I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Something beautiful can come out of me. What do you do, Courtney? Because I know you actually have like a lot of quality time with your husband. So I don't know if that's like included for you guys. Sometimes I call you and you're like, we're out eating, or we're out doing this, or we're celebrating this. I'm like, bro, what are you? How?
So I think part of it, and I think that's also kind of like the beauty of starting this private practice and growing into this business so that we can shape it the way that we want it to look. It became so busy. It took up so much of my time that I really started to value my time. I really put like a lot more emphasis on what I wanted my time to look like, and I wasn't going to give two shits about what anybody else said about it. Like it was kind of like, to give an example, like I wasn't going to waste my time spending 2 hours to do something if I didn't benefit from it, like in a way that it was going to really truly serve me, in comparison to them maybe either going to buy it or to have somebody else to do it for me, whatever. I'm like, I will I will eat that money, whatever, if that means that I then have that 2 hours back to do something that means more to me. So because of that, because again, my time became so busy with this practice that I really had to cut in that quality time to be like, okay, I need time for myself. I need time with my husband. I need time with my kids. I need time to decompress and further my educational goals. Like, I needed to carve out that time, and it did not matter to me what else I had to give away or to sacrifice in order to do that. So I make sure that no matter what, it's like, even if sometimes like it means like I'm only getting like 3 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep, like I'm up with my husband at night because that's our only quality time that we can get together, with having 4 kids and putting them to bed. But like, our goal is 8:30. Sometimes that means 9 o'clock. Sometimes that means 9:30, whatever. But sometimes like that's the only time that I can really get quality time with him. So I will carve out that time, even if that means that I maybe lose some sleep. I will make sure that I'm spending time with my kids when they come home from school, and I'm not doing a single thing else except for spending time with my kids. We're cuddling on the couch together, or my oldest son is like showing me his new soccer skills, or my daughters want to color, or my youngest son wants like hugs and tickles or whatever. Like, I'm making sure that I'm doing that no matter what. And I feel like that has been very, very rewarding for me.
That's also beautiful. I think that's fantastic. Okay, is there anything left for us to talk about? Because this is actually one of our longer podcasts. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to being a mom, and about our moms, and a little bit about our dads. I also have a very unhinged story about my dad, but we will wait for the Father's Day one for that.
For sure. No, I mean, I think we covered a lot here. And again, the whole idea of us like just putting our business out there is, partly because we just kind of love to talk about it, but then also just because we want other people to know that, you are not alone in this. This is the whole purpose of this podcast. We are all collectively unhinged together. And we would love to hear from you guys. We would love to know your stories too. If there's anything that you would like to share with us, you can reach us on our website, on our TikTok, on our Instagram. It's the same all across the board, Strong Mind MH. You can find us on any of those platforms. And again, whether your mom is your best friend, whether she is your biggest trigger, you are allowed to hold both grief and gratitude. You are allowed to heal, even if maybe they never said sorry, And if Mother's Day is hard for you, we see you. Okay, we see you, we hear you. Healing does not have to be perfect. It's real, it's messy, and hopefully maybe like there's some snacks involved with that too, So thank you for joining us on Collectively Unhinged. Please like and share this. Please tune in next time, where I don't necessarily know what we're going to be talking about next. It seems like we're eventually going to be having an episode about fathers and how unhinged that could look like too. But tune in and see what's going on. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.